moment as far as training between last time we saw you in action? You're up against Bo and Morgan, a first-round knockout at Bankwest Stadium. Very clinical on that night. And, of course, you've got a fight coming up in 7 weeks against Dennis Hogan, who's been based in Queensland but Irish initially. You've taken on a fair bit here. He's a handy opponent.
Yeah, well, you know, I don't want easy fights. I'm at that stage in my career right now is that I want to be tested. I want to be fighting the best. And at the moment, Hogan's the next victim.
Where do you think he'll test you? You say you want to be tested. Where do you think Dennis Hogan will test you?
I think in terms of his experience on the big stage, the 2 big fights that he's had overseas against Charlo and Mungua. But in terms of skill and everything that he's got to offer, I'm not worried at all.
Yeah. But he does have a pretty good record. He's lost those 2 big fights you spoke of, but one of them was so controversial that they're now looking to, well, I think they've ordered a rematch to try and get it moving along again. And they looked at, I think, they protested the decision. So he by rights, he should be a world champion right now.
Yeah, well, you know, it's out of my control.
Yeah.
Not much I can do.
Yeah, but it's certainly another step up for you. And I think from everybody who's watched you come through in from your first fights, we're all amazed, I think is probably the word, about how quickly you're progressing through. Because every time you take a new fight, everyone sits back and goes, "Whoa, this is a big step up for Tim." Like, let's see the other, Jeff Horn, for example. And yet you handled that so well. Bo and Morgan, everybody thought, well, OK, we didn't think Bo and Morgan would win the fight, but yet the manner in which you dealt with him, again, was very impressive.
Oh, well, look, it's hours and hours in the gym working on my craft, being in front of, you know, this big stage. It all brings it out of you. And again, for growth in the sport, it's all about consistency, and for myself, that's what I've got compared to most boxers, that consistent fights and training, and it's all going to plan.
That was a very impressive outing against Jeff Horn. You know, you spoke afterwards and said how you worked to try and get him to bring his hands up and then go to the body, and that was super effective in that fight. You tried something else with Bo and Morgan. That worked, the power of the right hand. What have you got in store for Dennis Hogan?
We'll see.
Because you're always trying to work on something, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. This fight was a very powerful type of training session that I was doing, working on specific shots, and again, that was the shot that we practiced non-stop with my coach Igor. But yeah, this Dennis Hogan, again, it's a different style. That's, you know, it's just going to bring a different fighter out of me, and that's all about being a boxer, is being able to adapt to anyone.
When you go to this fight, I think in many respects, given what's happening around the world with COVID, the inability to travel around the world and fight opponents overseas, in many respects, the fact that Dennis Hogan is right in essentially the Australian backyard, it's a real boost for you.
Oh, 100%. You know, we're limited with opponents now.
Yeah.
And the fact that we got Dennis Hogan here, who's already based in Australia, who's up there at the top of the middleweights and the super welterweights, made the fight much easier to make.
Yeah. So, this fight, how long have you, like, you're announcing it this week, the fight's March 31st. How long have you known that this was going ahead? How long have you been preparing?
Oh, look,
for
I haven't stopped. I haven't stopped, actually. I had a bit of a break, a holiday, but I was in the gym there every day, twice a day, actually, knowing that, you know, I haven't achieved my goals. I haven't done anything in the sport yet, in terms of my eyes. I still got a long way to go, and yeah, that's what allows me to be.
We got a press conference that's about to start in about 5, maybe less, depending. I notice Australian press conferences, they're usually on time. 6 p.m. I've been up since about 2 a.m. So normally, see, I've been trying to switch my sleep schedule around. My daughter's going to be moving in. So basically, I want to be up during the night. No way, sleep during the day when she's in school, and pretty much up at night. So, you know, that's what we're going for. So we got a press conference about to start with Tszyu, WBO ranked #1. He's ranked #1, right? I'm tired. I'm sorry. Bear with me, man. Bear with me. Let me pull up the rankings real quick. My colleague and partner, Mikey, is coming back at the beginning of the month, March, and he's going to be doing the rankings consistently on FightView360.com every month, thank God. Now, you know the rankings only come out once every month anyway, from the WBC, WBA, WBO, and IBF. And when champions change, we're going to be updating it real time in color coding, so we want to separate ourselves from the other websites that, and you know what, that's a shame. They don't be giving me no love. I send a lot of traffic. Every one of my videos, let me pull it up, my bad. Every one of my videos, I use all these people rankings and shit, and they don't be giving me no love. Not a t-shirt, no nothing. You would think BoxRec at least will send a motherfucker a t-shirt. I gotta stop cussing too. So let me refresh here that press conference for, it's gonna be live real time from Australia. Right now, damn it, what do I do? Right now it's what is it? Alexa, what time is it in Sydney, Australia?
In Sydney, it's 9:58 a.m.
10 a.m. Turn my Alexa up, my alarm. Got to sign out. All right, so what were we doing? Going down to the 154-pound rankings. So me and Big J was having a debate earlier on whether from what we know of Tszyu right now, can Tszyu beat Patrick Teixeira? Now, Patrick Teixeira, even though for pretty much 12 rounds he got beat up, I generously gave him 2 rounds, but he pretty much got beat up for 12 rounds. You know, mauled. And I was thinking he still has got some good shots in on Brian Castano, but Castano just was walking through that shit. So gotta stop cussing. So my question is, we haven't seen enough from Tszyu on the inside. Let me make sure. Let me refresh for this press conference start. We haven't seen enough of Tszyu fighting on the inside for me to think that, like, yo, I don't see him defeating, you know, like, take Jermell Charlo out. Take Brian Castano out. I don't see him, from what I see from him right now, we don't know. I'm not confident to say that he will beat a Liam Smith. He will beat a Jarrett Swift-Hurd. You know, we don't know enough. We don't know enough. We don't know enough. I think Tszyu going to come to the States? He's going to have to come to the States eventually if he keep winning. That's, you know, he's going to have to. I understand, you know, they're going to try to keep him over there as long as they can, but he's going to have to come to the States. So let me pull up some punch stats up here on this second screen up here, man. Let's go and log into the zone and watch some punch stats here. We're waiting for the press conference to start. Then we're going to go full screen over there. Here, go to schedule. Saturday. I want to get the punch stats up. It's a shame they didn't give Brian Castano a post-fight interview because he's not the zone fighter. He's a PBC fighter that went over there and won. So there's like, fuck out of here. Look at these punch stats. Let's go back. I hope the zone don't be tripping for me showing these punch stats. Sometimes they be on some bullshit. Like, for real. Here, right here. Let me turn it up. Look at these punch stats, bro. By the way, my shit's so fast now. I got a new PC. Well, a custom built. I didn't get one. I custom built with some help, but for the most part, custom built.
For 1,100 punches thrown for Brian Castano.
Hold on, guys. I got to take this call. How are you?
Career. Dennis Hogan is a And right now, Dennis Hogan is the best fight available in Australia, and I think it's going to be a fantastic night here in Newcastle.
We saw the WBO belt change hands over the course of the weekend. A lot of talk about where Tim Tszyu is positioned to fight for that belt. Is there one eye from No Limit on that fight with Dennis Hogan just around the corner? You're looking at that world title?
I think as a boxing promoter, you'd be silly not to be looking ahead at opportunities that lie in front of you. I know from Tim's point of view, I know he'd be focused on this fight and this fight solely. But for me, you know, I'd love to look ahead and see what opportunities are out there, and that is definitely one that, you know, Tim's worked his butt off to get into that position to be in the position to challenge for that title. Hopefully, if everything keeps flowing the way that it's flowing, and Tim keeps turning up and providing them great performances that we've seen from him. We see him grow with every fight. That's what I love. The last fight, he absolutely shocked me. I didn't expect it to end in that sort of emphatic fashion. But that's what I love about him. He can look silky smooth on one night and go the 12 rounds, 10 rounds, and then on another he can end it in an instant.
Yeah, we've seen two explosive performances back-to-back. Of course, the decimation of former world champion Jeff Horn, and then the knockout against Bowen Morgan. You expecting more of the same, the brutality that we've seen of Tim Tszyu in recent times?
Look, 2020 was a great year for Tim Tszyu. It was a great year for No Limit Boxing, and I don't want to predict what you'll see from Tim Tszyu because, like I said, I thought the last fight he was going to dance around and show us some silky moves for 10 rounds, but he went and ended it in the first round for us, and it was a great performance. I think everybody needs to look forward to what Tim's going to bring in this fight because I don't think we know what he is going to bring. I do know that he steps up with the competition as the competition steps up. And as I said, Dennis Hogan is a world-rated fighter who's only lost in world title fights. So to see the level that Tim might go to in this fight is going to be very exciting for myself and for everybody watching.
They're calling this the Steel City Showdown. We're here in Newcastle. The Newcastle Entertainment Centre will be the venue. How come we've come to Newcastle for this fight?
Look, there's plenty of reasons. There's a great history here with the Tszyu name, and I think Glenn will be able to speak more about that given his involvement with that era. But for me, Newcastle's a great sporting town. A lot of tough people have come out of Newcastle, a lot of great sporting teams, a lot of great athletes have come out of here, and I know that Newcastle really gets behind their sport. I love the town. It's actually really beautiful. The place that we're at here is really nice. Lovely beaches, and but look, the Newcastle people, I think they'll love what we provide. I think No Limit boxing events are very exciting and very entertaining, and I think it's something that they'll really enjoy. The Newcastle people will enjoy, and hopefully we can pack out the entertainment centre and put on a great night of fights for you.
Yeah, looking forward to selling those tickets, and of course you can book the pay-per-view as well at mainevent.com.au. Now, the visiting camp are over to my left, and Danny Dimas is from DDP Boxing Promotions. Danny, welcome to Newcastle first and foremost. How come this is a fight that you guys have accepted with Dennis Hogan against Tim Tszyu?
Well, we had an earlier fight this year that got cancelled over in Vegas, and Dennis likes to keep active as he always has, and never back down from any fight. And this is a great tune-up fight for him to get back onto the world stage. Not underestimating Tim. Tim's a great fighter. You know, he's a great Australian fighter. Dennis is a world-class fighter. So it's basically to bounce back, get into the world-class and go for another world title.
Do you consider that you have a world champion alongside you, essentially, given what happened in Mexico and the controversy around that result? Do you effectively believe that Dennis Hogan is a world champion?
Dennis is a world champion, and the whole world knows that. And we're just waiting for an opportunity to prove that again, and he'll continue to prove it once he is a world champion too.
You were very complimentary about Tim Tszyu there, but there's been a fair bit from your camp saying that he's a hype job, essentially, that he's got here very quickly, quicker than he deserved to. Do you want to reiterate those comments?
Well, I don't think there's a boxer in Australia that, you know, with TV behind you and being groomed the way he is, that would love to be in Tim Tszyu's shoes, you know, and have that pathway. You know, when I look at Dennis's pathway, he's had it tough. You know, from the beginning of knocking on our door, selling tickets for his own boxing fight. I don't think Tim's ever done anything close to that. To having to fight so many top 15 fighters just to get a chance to get for the world title. No one else has done that. So Dennis's pathway, you know, it's great. And I think it's excellent what Tim's done with, you know, the hype's behind him, the media's behind him. But Dennis has had to do it through, you know, rigour and grit. You know, so it's a bit of a difference there.
Is Tim Tszyu overrated?
Not in Australia, it's not. I think he's a great Australian fighter. He was on our card, a couple of years ago. We could see that he was a little bit different to most fighters out there, not taking any skills away from him. But Dennis is a class above.
You're obviously extremely confident of winning this fight. What does a victory mean for Dennis Hogan?
Back into the world stage, back into the US for a world title fight.
That's Danny Zemas from DDP. Thanks for coming along to Newcastle today, Danny. We go down the other end of the table to Glenn Jennings, who is not only Tim Tszyu's manager, but a local here in Newcastle. Glenn, welcome to Newcastle, mate. Thanks for having us. First and foremost, it's a place that you and Kostya on his journey had some great times in. It must be good to be back here with a big fight.
Oh, look, I'm a proud Novocastrian, and I'm super proud that we're bringing this one back home to Newcastle. And Tim and I spoke about this way back in the early days, and I said one of the things that I would love to achieve in his career is for him to have that experience in Newcastle. It's like no other. And the Newcastle Entertainment Centre for those 7 fights with Kostya was just about as alive as it gets. So it's just like an old school throwback, the Entertainment Centre, and it's a real boxing building. So very excited, very proud, and we're looking forward to a sold-out stadium.
What are your memories of those 7 fights with Kostya? The atmosphere, as you mentioned, was electric. Obviously, great results as Kostya tended to provide. What do you think back and remember? Oh,
I just think that in the early days, Kostya was so devastating, and then the Newcastle crowd just got behind him, and we kept coming back, and they kept coming back, and together we formed this bond. And one of the funniest memories, Ben, was the Knights had a horse that was their mascot that used to go around the field. Well, they brought him into the entertainment centre and the crowd went berserk, and the horse nearly ended up 4 rows in the crowd. It was just crazy. Like, you never see this stuff anymore, but that's typical of Newcastle. But just noisy, loud, noisy, and full-on boxing atmosphere. And I think for this town, like a lot of places, has done it pretty tough, and it's great to bring something this special back. And we hope to re-engage with all of our old Kostya fans, with Tim, and we do already have on Tim's social media a lot of Newcastle-based fans. So it made sense, and we may not get that opportunity again after this as Tim moves on to world titles overseas.
So you're confident the Tszyu name still resonates here in Newcastle?
Absolutely. He was like a second son to the city, and Kostya loved his time here. And we still talk about some of the fun things we got up to, but I think for sure that that group of people and their sons now will come back in droves to support Tim. And, yeah, it's just a wonderful thing for this town.
What do you make of the challenge from Dennis Hogan when that name was put to you? You as a manager, what did you think?
Well, again, as Danny said, we the best to be the best and to achieve the best. So at the end of the day, we don't doubt Dennis's credentials. Tim's only been a pro 4 years. Dennis has been a pro 10 years. So Tim's just started his 4th year, and he's at that level now. So there's a big time difference, a big experience difference, but Tim brings something different to the ring every time, and so far nobody's been able to deal with it, Ben, so it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Tim's obviously well poised with the WBO. We saw that title change hands at the weekend. You would have all had an eye on that fight. Do you have an eye on that world title belt even going into this fight?
Of course. Not something we discussed with Tim. His focus is purely on Dennis Hogan, which is a big task ahead. But from myself and Matt and George and No Limits, yeah, we always talk well in advance, and absolutely, should that opportunity come up, we'll have to see how all those dominoes fall. But boxing's one of those sports, mate, where it's one step at a time, and it's a big step, and Tim's looking forward to it, and we're very confident that Tim will have another W in his column, and we'll move on and just keep on moving forward.
Okay, thank you very much, Glenn. Thanks for having us in Newcastle here today. We move along now to a former two-time world title challenger, still world ranked at middleweight as well, and one of the greatest boxers Ireland has produced in recent times, and now a man who calls Brisbane home. Dennis Hogan, welcome to Newcastle, mate. First and foremost, tell us the Dennis Hogan story, because while you are very well known internationally in boxing circles, there might be some in Australia who don't know the full Dennis Hogan story.
Oh, well, I mean, if you don't know the full story, then, you know, a boxing purist, do you really know what's going down in the boxing world? But no, first I just want to say a big up to...
Against what you've been through previously.
Well, I mean, for those... world title fights, you know, it's now, and we're about to see now who's going to take the #1 spot in Australia.
You have made some comments, though, that he is overhyped. Is that your belief?
Yeah, look, the word overhyped has been thrown at me, but look, there is a hype train going on, and as I said many times, Tim has done very well, and he's beat everyone put in front of him. There's a lot of hype though about him, and you know, here he's got the opportunity now to prove if that's correct or not. So, so be it.
What about stylistically, Dennis? We've seen your boxing skills. You've mentioned that you think Tim Tszyu is a little one-dimensional in what he provides.
Yeah, look, there's you know, as a fight progresses, there's many ways to change things up, and you know what I see a lot of the time in power punches, because I think that, you know, Tim would fall under that category, is that, you know, they can a lot of the time rely on their power and then don't nurture all the other skills that need to be nurtured. But at the same time, like Glenn just said, you know, I'm a pro 10 years, but I've been boxing from the age of 5 or 6 at the gyms, you know, nights with my grandfather. So that's 30 years ago. That's 30 years of having those skills and nurturing them. And I think that you're going to see the difference on fight night.
Dennis, we saw you go to Mexico and get robbed blind in a world title fight. Any concerns being the B-side effectively here again against a fighter who has been highly hyped? Do you have any worries about judging?
Well, you know, again, I just have to have faith, don't I? Like I said over there, you know, you go on good faith. But, you know, my only two, like, you know, the only loss before that was in Germany, where I knew I had to fight a different game plan and all the travelling and everything. Yeah, I feel like that was a fight that, you know, maybe I could have won it, definitely after learning the lessons from that one. You know, I've gone to Germany, I've gone to Mexico for decisions, gone to, you know, America, in Barclays Centre with Charlo, you know, and so, you know, why would I be afraid to come to Newcastle? You just have to hope that people can see, you know, what's going to happen in the ring, and I'll get a fair decision.
What will it mean, a victory for you in a fight like this?
Yeah, look, again, everything for me is different milestones to hit all my goals. I don't have one goal of being world champion. I'm going to be unified world champion. So this is the next step, and we'll celebrate the next, you know, that night and the next day, and then I know that feeling will occur inside me again. Let's get on to the next one. So,
your prediction for how this ends on March the 31st?
A big win for me.
That's Dennis Hogan, very, very confident, and that takes us to our undefeated fighter, Tim Tszyu. Tim, welcome to Newcastle. We've heard about everything that your father did in this part of the world. It must be nice to be back here and representing the Tszyu name.
Yeah, look, we've had history here, and it's only been positive. You know, I was only a little young kid back in the days when Dad was fighting here in Newcastle. So, you know, it's good to be back here, to be fighting on my own card, to be fighting in my biggest fight in my life, and to be doing it in front of Newcastle.
We've seen a particularly spiteful Tim Tszyu in your last couple of fights against Jeff Horn and against Bowen Morgan. What should we expect this time?
Look, it's nothing personal, but these boys are trying to take away everything that I've ever worked for, and they're trying to take away everything that I'm going for. So, look, I'm coming in for one purpose. It's not just to win, but to stop my opponent, to get rid of him. Again, nothing personal. It's just that I want this more than anything.
What do you make of the challenge that Dennis Hogan presents? You would have seen his fights in recent years, most notably in Mexico, when he considers he was ripped off.
Look, the history books don't say that. A loss is a loss. You can't go back. But look, he's going to be a tough competitor, tough challenge. But this is the type of fights you want. If you want to be the best, you got to take out everyone that's on top of you, or anyone who's around you. Look, he's a great competitor. As they say, he's world class, but I think he's just under that world class because he's never been able to go to that top. But look, if I need to beat a Dennis Hogan to be where I want to be.
Dennis has done a lot of rounds with Jeff Horn and has a close affiliation with him. Do you see anything in Dennis Hogan that reminds you of what presented itself in front of you in Jeff Horn?
Yeah, I see another confident opponent who's not underestimating me, but doesn't know what they're running into. And that's the best thing about boxing, is that once you get in the ring, everything from before, everything after, everything shuts away, and it's just you and your opponent in that particular moment. And you're able to suck the soul out of them and take away everything that they've ever believed. And again, that's my goal, to take their soul and their belief and everything that they've ever worked for and think they would have had in that particular moment. Again, it's not just a W, it's taking everything away.
You've been called overrated, overhyped, and also now one-dimensional. How do you respond to...
Again, I can't wait for that opening bell, because once that opening bell sounds, all that stuff gets away, and it's my time to prove what I got, and it's just me and him.
I don't know why
you mentioned the WBO World
doing
title, given you are so well placed in that governing body at the moment. It changed hands at the weekend. Is that a fight that you've got some thoughts about? Are you looking forward to getting through this towards that fight?
Look, I'm looking forward for the future. I know what lies ahead, but I'm not overlooking my challenge ahead. This is the fight that I'm purely based on now. I've got my mind focused. I've been in camp for 6 weeks now, so I've been working on my craft, and this is all that I need. This is the fight of my life.
Tim, why should the people of Newcastle get to this event? They all got along and watched your father, and it was must-see television or must-attend boxing. Why should they get there and see you in action?
Look, myself, with my team and No Limit, we're providing Australia with boxing fights all around Australia at the biggest level. So for everyone to get involved, this is a piece of history that you'll never get back. As my father fought in his career, this it's a piece that you'll never get to experience again. So Newcastle, get on board. This doesn't happen often, and it's not going to happen often. So let's make this a big event, something Newcastle deserves, and it should be good.
How does it end, Tim? March 31st.
It doesn't end in just a victory. It ends me taking everything I've ever worked for and taking everything out of him.
That's Tim Tszyu. We'll get the two fighters to face off here in front of the boards behind me. Just to reiterate, it's the Steel City Showdown. You'll see it on Main Event Television or at the Newcastle Entertainment Centre. It is Wednesday the 31st of March. And this is Dennis Hogan and Tim Tszyu. Face off, boys. Okay, thank you so much for joining us. That's the official press conference for the Steel City Showdown. It is Tszyu and Dennis Hogan.
That's what we're not going to do. All right. Well, I didn't really expect much from the press conference anyway. You know, Tszyu's not a trash talker. Dennis Hogan's not a trash talker. However, I'm highly interested in the fight. A lot of implications. Now, Tszyu, let's pull up his resume up here. Let's go full screen. We'll do it this way. My bad. I'm still figuring everything out. Right screen with cam. There we go. All right. Tszyu, 17-0 with 13 KOs, 26 years old. Not going to tell you who his father is. You should know. Last two fights have been against Bowen Morgan. A blown up. Now follow me. Bowen Morgan, before Tszyu fought him, was ranked number 15 by the IBF at 147. Tszyu is a 154-pound fighter. What I'm saying is he fought a bottom of the barrel. Okay, understandably COVID. He fought a bottom of the barrel. In fact, let me pull up that highlight for you. A bottom of the barrel 147-pounder. I'm talking about scraping the bottom of the barrel. Sparked him out in one round. Before that, he fought Jeff Horn in what was a Australian kind of passing of the torch type fight. Where Jeff Horn, I'm going to tell you right now, if you ain't see the highlights or the build-up, Jeff Horn looked like he was sick, and there was so much going on that was a little funky during the build-up. So Jeff Horn had already been through some shit. Jeff Horn was a good win, but Jeff Horn didn't really test him. Jeff Horn just ran right into him, you know? And that is his resume. Dennis Hogan, of course, should have been, in my opinion, and if there was two lines, one line being the long line saying that he should have defeated Jaime Munguia, and the short line saying that he lost. The long line is Dennis Hogan should have been WBO 154-pound champion. He had no business fighting Charlo at 160 pounds, got his ass uppercut at the smithereens. Now he's coming back. The fight's taking place March the 31st in 2021. It's 2020. My bad, I'm tired. And he's coming off of what's going to be a 13-plus month layoff. No, excuse me. That was Tszyu I was looking at. Is it going to be 13 months? Yeah, a 13-plus month layoff. So the question is, looking at the resume of Dennis Hogan and what he's done, he's 35 years old, by the way, 28, 3-1 with 7 KOs, only 7 KOs. But look at what he has done throughout his career and the challenges that he's fought compared to Tszyu. What has Tszyu really shown us? So if Tszyu was to defeat Dennis Hogan, then I'd be like, okay, all right, we can start matching him up with other fighters. For example, I think that no matter what, we're going to see the winner of Tszyu versus Patrick Teixeira, Tszyu versus Dennis Hogan versus Patrick Teixeira. That's my theory. By the way, we're going to bring Big J on the line in about 10 minutes or so. Get his thoughts on it. So, let me pull up this Bowen Morgan shit right here, because he sparked him out. Just a KO, fair use. We can use this because sometimes they be getting triggered. So, yeah, he sparked this poor guy out. Here, let's go, my bad. There we go. Sparked this poor guy out. But we haven't really seen Tszyu test it, you know? We haven't really seen him test it. And what happens when he fights a fighter that's going to crowd his space? So as it stands right now, I don't think he beats a Brian Castano. I think that even Liam Smith, you know, with his pressure and his resume, I think that he would give him some problems. You know? We just haven't seen enough of Tszyu. We haven't. You know, damn it, we're not showing a whole, why do they do that? They showed a damn knockout. He did punch the shit out of Bowen Morgan, though. Punched the shit out of him. Then he gonna get up and drop him again. Put his ass right to sleep. Crazy. Knocked the shit out of him. So, yeah, what the hell? Gosh darn it. So, like I said, I'm on the fence. It's a 50-50 fight for me. You know, this is a fight that Tszyu is supposed to win. You know, I mean, is he the favorite? I don't know what the betting odds is. Is he the favorite? Well, we're going to find out. So, if you don't know, if you've been living under a rock this last weekend over on the Zone, Brian Castano defeated Patrick Tszyu. I'm going to wait to go into more detail because I got another stream coming up in exactly, what is it, an hour and a half, or no, actually 2.5 hours, where we're going to be talking about and recapping this weekend's fight. So I really don't want to get into Castano versus Charlo too much, but it's safe to say that I think we're going to see Jermell Charlo versus Brian Castano for the WBC, WBA Super, IBF, and now WBO to be the first 154-pound undisputed 4-belt era champion. You dig? So, I wish that the Zone just wasn't always on my ass, man, because I'd show, gotta stop cussing, you know, because I would love to show like highlights like all the way through. Boxing is the only sport, like NFL don't be on the bullshit, and in NBA, they practically upload full motherfucking games. You know, but with boxing, they just think like no, don't show our highlights, man.
Nearly 972 for Tszyu would be a huge number, but he has been overshadowed.
Like even looking at what Patrick Tszyu done now, Castano was eating some nice shots from Patrick Tszyu. He just was walking through. And by the way, Tszyu is a perfect example of the worst of email champions. Like it's like you got your belt entitled emailed to you, you didn't win, and now we see why. He's just not that good. I mean, yeah, he's a durable, straightforward fighter, you know, but from what we've seen, it's just like, you know. By the way, if you have not seen this interview, let me pull it up for you. Where's this interview at? Now, tell me if you see something wrong here. Tell me if you see something wrong here. Boxing over in Australia, they just treat it so bad. Tell me if you see something wrong here.
And boxing, Tszyu, well, the rising star of Australian boxing, Tszyu, is sitting right beside me. G'day, Tim. Great to see you in the house, and thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Where are you at the moment as far as training between the last time we saw you in action? You're up against Bowen Morgan with a first-round knockout at Bankwest Stadium. Very clinical on that night. And, of course, you've got a fight coming up in 7 weeks against Dennis Hogan, who's been based in Queensland but Irish initially. You've taken on a fair bit here. He's a handy opponent.
Yeah, well, you know, I don't want easy fights. I'm at that stage in my career right now is that I want to be tested. I want to be fighting the best, and at the moment, Hogan's the next victim.
Where do you think he'll test you? You say you want to be tested. Where do you think Dennis Hogan will test you?
I think in terms of his experience on the big stage, the 2 big fights that he's had overseas against Charlo and Mungua. But in terms of skill and everything that he's got to offer, I'm not worried at all.
Yeah. But he does have a pretty good record. He's lost those 2 big fights you spoke of, but one of them was so controversial that they're now looking to, well, I think they've ordered a rematch to try and get it moving along again. And they looked at, I think, they protested the decision. So he by rights, he should be a world champion right now.
Yeah, well, you know, it's out of my control.
Yeah.
Not much I can do.
Yeah, but it's certainly another step up for you. And I think from everybody who's watched you come through from your first fights, we're all...
That commentator right there, or that analyst didn't, like, yo, that fucking fight was 2 years ago, bro. He was talking about the Hogan-Munguia fight. So... Anyway, as I said, I am going to be covering this fight, meaning Tszyu versus Dennis Hogan. But guess what? As it stands right now, there's no U.S. TV deal. If anybody was going to pick this up, who would it be? You would think it would be ESPN Plus, right? Because they picked up the Tszyu versus Jeff Horn. But Hogan's last 2 fights have been on PBC, and the one before that on the Zone. No, excuse me. Last fight was PBC, and the one on that before the Zone. I think that this fight should get an American TV deal, right? This fight warrants an American TV deal. So I just hope that I'm not here on March 31st. You know, that's like a Wednesday morning or some shit, right? Let me go check. Because not UK, Australian fights usually happen in the middle of the week. Yep, a Wednesday morning here in the States. So I'm hoping, you know, that it's going to be a TV deal. That, you know, I'm not going to be here fucking having a bootleg or stream or some old bullshit. And I forgot to mention that we could possibly have Tszyu, if he wins, or Dennis Hogan versus Mick Zarafa, who March the 13th, a fight that we're going to be getting to, is taking on Anthony Mundine. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a little short break here, play a little bit of this, and we're going to get Big J on the line and go from there. So this is T-Street Controversy with FightView360.com. Please subscribe. Be right back.
Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Newcastle. We're in the most exciting period in the history of Australian boxing, and we're here today to announce the next major fight that will take place. And I'm delighted on behalf of No Limit Boxing to announce that the new star of Australian boxing in Tszyu will take on former two-time world title challenger Dennis Hogan. It will take place at the Newcastle Entertainment Centre on a Wednesday night, the 31st of March. And you'll see it live on Main Event Television. Ben Damon is my name. A pleasure to be here, and to reiterate those details, it's Wednesday the 31st of March, live on Main Event Television and at the Newcastle Entertainment Centre. It'll be Tszyu, an undefeated star who we've seen take out Jeff Horn amongst others in recent years, and Dennis Hogan, whose only losses have come in world title fights and who considers himself the forgotten man of Australian boxing. They're all here today, and we're going to have a chat with everybody involved and find out why this is such a significant fight and why it is taking place. But really excited that we're coming back to Newcastle, somewhere that Tszyu had a great affinity with. He fought here 7 times and became a real local hero, and now Tszyu is back in Newcastle to try to do the same thing. No Limit Boxing Promotions are putting this promotion together. They also, of course, gave us the Sydney Super Fight at the end of last year, a magnificent night of boxing with Tszyu taking out Bowen Morgan and Paul Gallen beating Mark Hunt on the undercard. And this time, they're going to bring it back to Newcastle at the Entertainment Centre. And from No Limit Boxing Promotions, George Rose.
So we got Big J here on the line from Australia. And we're going to get his thoughts on the fight. Just call him up real quick. And then get his thoughts on the press conference. Jay, real quick, what did you think about the fight? I mean, what do you think about the press conference?
Well, it was a seldom press conference. There was really not much to it. But then again, I mean, what do you expect? I mean, it was a good press conference. Gave all the details that we needed to know, where the fight's going to be.
Yeah, can you run that down? Where's it going to be? And can you run down the basic information? Where's it going to be? The network over in Australia, you know, the particulars.
Okay, so basically it'll be at the Newcastle Entertainment Centre, which the Tszyu has a long history, and boxing in general does have a fair bit of a history with that particular venue. I thought it was a bit of a surprise that they actually picked Newcastle, but when you think about it, when you add up the fact that Glenn Jennings is from there, who's Tszyu's manager, the Tszyu team, I think Kostya fought there about 7 or 8 times, Mundine fought Joshua Clotty there. It's really no surprise that they picked that venue. Mm-hmm. And Newcastle does have a strong boxing following. So, yeah, as I predicted, I said there wasn't going to be a stadium fight because they weren't going to get one because of the football season. And, yeah, so, I mean, this is a good go-to venue when the stadium's unavailable. So I was a little bit surprised they didn't put it in Sydney.
So what's the arena called? Is the Newcastle Entertainment Centre? I'm looking it up.
Yeah, Newcastle Entertainment Centre, yeah.
And how many does it seat?
I think 8,000.
Now, what's the COVID restrictions looking like over there?
New South Wales, I don't think they have anything going on at the moment, but that changes on a daily basis. So they probably only get maybe 4,000 to 6,000 people. Mm-hmm. But if the UK strain gets it into New South Wales, that could change. So, but I'm tipping probably 4,000 to 6,000 due to restrictions. So, because they didn't actually mention it at the press conference, they didn't actually mention how many people they could actually seat, which I always thought was a bit strange. But those details will probably come out later. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a half decent venue where they're going to. So
So it's an outdoor arena?
No, indoor arena.
Oh, okay.
Indoor arena.
Okay.
Indoor closed arena, and it'll be on Foxtel main event. I think channel 521 in Australia. It'll probably kick off around 7 p.m. like they normally do. So.
Okay, so since we're here live, real quick, what do you think about the fight? I mean, I'm on the fence, in regards to, we don't know like how Tim is going to deal with the pressure, but also Dennis Hogan is not known to be a knockout artist with just 7 KOs,
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, Tim Tszyu has destroyed his last 3 opponents, but mind you, they were blown up welterweights. And Dennis is not a knockout artist, but he is a pressure fighter. And as I said, Dennis hasn't fought in over 15 months. So,
yeah, it'll be close to 14 by the time he gets into the ring.
And he'll be 36, a good almost 10 years older than Tim, where Tim's fought twice in 6 months. So, yeah, it really is a 50-50 fight. It really is. The only way it's really too close to call. But as I said, we're both leaning towards Hogan, but we'll see what happens.
Well, the winner, who do you think? Well, we already talked about it earlier, but who do you think is going to get the winner? I mean, the winner is going to get.
Well, I don't think they're going to get a title shot, because Castano will most likely fight Charlo, and then Charlo will most likely defeat Castano, and then he'll drop the belts. And Charlo might hang around for one defense, as you said, but who knows? So I don't think the winner is going to get. I don't think the winner is going to get a title shot. And if they do, it'll be a vacant title, possibly an undisputed shot against Charlo if he wants one defense. Who knows?
Yeah, my theory is also, I feel the same way that Jermell Charlo will defeat Brian Castano. However, I'm a little shaky with that prediction because of the activity of Brian Castano. So, Jermell Charlo defeats Brian Castano. If he has one defense, as it's looking right now, why fight Tim Tszyu? If Tim Tszyu, in the perfect world for Tim Tszyu, if Tim Tszyu defeats Dennis Hogan, why fight Tim Tszyu where he can fight somebody in the PBC stable, like another number 1 contender, like an Erickson Lubin, or what's going on with there. So as you said, I don't see Tim Tszyu being able to get Charlo, or if Castano, let's say if Castano wins, there may be a rematch clause, but I don't see Castano moving to 160. So the question is,
Tim Tszyu possibly could get Castano, only if he's made mandatory and he's forced to fight him. That's the only way I see it happening. Because Tim Tszyu's biggest problem is he has no affiliation with any international promotion. He's only got no limit. He doesn't have a deal with PBC or Top Rank or Liga Bella or Golden Boy. That's his biggest problem, where Dennis Hogan has got an affiliation with PBC because he fought Jermell Charlo in 2019. So that's the biggest thing going against Tim Tszyu, is that he doesn't have an affiliation with one of those big promoters. Yeah. He's just he's a one-man band, as they say. So,
well, all right. Since we're approaching the end of the show, closing thoughts real quick before we get out of here.
Good press conference. I'm eager to see the undercard. But now this is good. Actually, I did think that they brought up the fact that Tim Tszyu was overhyped a little. I'm glad to see that they're acknowledging that a little bit, that this hype of Tim Tszyu is getting a little bit out of control. Yeah. So I'm actually glad that they did actually mention that in the press conference. Do I think he's overhyped? A little, but I think he's unproven. I think that's the best word to describe Tim Tszyu at the moment. He's still a little unproven.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I think that's I don't want him to become a victim of the media's hype, because some people are saying they're already looking past Dennis Hogan, and he's on his way to a world title shot. He's got to get past Hogan.
All right, well, Big J, I'm gonna let you go. Follow Big J. Give out your Twitter handle.
Old Mate B.
Old Mate B. Simple as that. Take your time out, like the video. All right, Jay, I gotta let you go.
All right, mate. Thanks, mate.
Yeah, so we're going to see, man. We're going to see. So what I'm going to do is we're going to take a 2-hour break. I might move the stream up. I actually got to go cook dinner, feed the dog, take him for a walk. So we're going to be back at that time that I put the time on all the screens now. So that's the real. Is it on this screen? There it is, too. It's 6:42. I'm going to be back at 9 p.m. Eastern my time. I'll try to push it to 8:30, you know, because I already said I was going to sleep. I was going to flip my sleeping schedule. So I'm supposed to be asleep at 8 p.m. and then up at 2 a.m. But it's not going to work out like that. So we're going to stream from about 9 to 10, and we're going to talk about the fights from this weekend. Tomorrow, I'm going to be here doing a lot of, this week I'm going to be doing a lot of Valdez versus Burchelt and Broner versus Santiago coverage. It's a big fight weekend. You know, I'm not going to cover those fights until the late night, early morning that Sunday. So it's going to be busy. Busy. So make sure you take your time out, like the video. The next video we're going to be doing, let me put the link down below for you. It is going to be on what's next for Josh Warrington, what's been going on, Jojo Diaz, what's next for him, more Charlo Castano. I think that Devin Haney and Richard Comey may fight if Devin Haney defeats whoever the hell he's supposed to be fighting next. I think that can happen. Yeah, I can't do I'm gonna watch the McCaskill Brocco's press conference, but I can't do that. Like, my schedule is fucked right now. So I'm trying to keep to a nice schedule and keep all these videos organized, you know, especially like, you know, certain topics. So, you know, I can't wait to stop talking about Tszyu. And you know, so you know, you see what I'm saying? What if Brian Castano beat Charlo off of activity? Like, what if he's able to you know, if Charlo can't knock him out? You know? What if? Can't say it's not possible. You know, look what happened with the Tony Harrison fight. You know, look what happened with John Jackson before Jermell stopped him. You know, I think that Jermell's going to have to stop Brian Castano. Don't let that shit go to the cards. Not saying that Jermell would get robbed, but I'm saying activity, man. That dude's out there throwing a lot of punch. Look, Lara had a hard-ass time. You know? Lara had a extremely difficult time, but this is what we're going to do. I'm going to see you. I got so much shit to do. This is not even done yet. I'm going to see you guys in a couple of hours. You know, and we're going to wrap up all those fights. Please subscribe and T Street Controversy with FightView360.com. Take your time out, like the video.